NBA season is right around the corner with NBA training camp tipping off later this month on September 28th. So, don't you want the best Mavericks coverage right here on YouTube? Well, the solution to that is easy. Hit that red subscribe button down below. Let's get the 15,000 subscribers before the start of the season. We're less than 150 away. Hey, if you want the best Mavericks coverage, we got you covered on Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. Welcome into Dallas Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Chase Senior. Coming up on today's show, some Mavericks free agency rumors. And I know NBA free agency has died down a little bit with the start of the season right around the corner, but Mark Stein reporting yesterday that there was interest between the Dallas Mavericks as well as free agent guard Frank Ntilikina, and a contract could be coming to fruition over the next couple of days. Stein reporting that the Mavs have emerged as the next landing spot for the former top 10 overall pick in the 2017 NBA draft. The problem with Frank Ntilikina is not his defense. He's an assassin on that end of the floor. He'll get all up in your mug and harass you on the defensive end. But offensively, he is really, really bad, and he's never really developed his offensive game in New York City or internationally playing for Team France in the Olympics. Mark Stein taking to Twitter to break this news, saying this: the Mavericks have emerged as the likely next destination for former Knicks guard Frank Ntilikina, league sources say. There's a big reason why Frankie Smokes is still on the open market without a team, because he has struggled to really progress offensively with his creation abilities as well as his shot-making ability. The best case scenario for Dallas is that this potential signing ends up being a low-risk, high-reward type deal for Dallas. They do need some defensive stoppers on that end of the floor within this roster and on this organization. Offensively, with how Luka Doncic has played in his first 3 seasons, with the ceiling that he has, I think he could average 30 to 33 points per game this year. You have some other offensive weapons and shooters on this roster around Luka. You wouldn't be asking Frank Ntilikina to do a bunch offensively, but for him to get consistent minutes, he has to be better on that end of the floor. He certainly brings defense to the floor, as I mentioned, and his athletic intangibles and athletic ability is certainly there. This is a guy who is springy, he is quick, he's 6'4", so he has solid size for a guy who can handle the basketball at least a little bit to set up your offense if you need him to. He can play a little bit off ball, but defense is really his bread and butter. He's 6'4" with the ridiculous 7'1" wingspan, has good anticipation on that end of the floor, so he can get in the way of passing lanes, which leads to turnovers as well as steals and fast break points for some of the offensive competent pieces on this team. You take a look at his career stats. For Frank Ntilikina, he has never, ever lived up to the expectations of being that former top 10 overall pick. The expectation at that time was for him to potentially be an all-pro caliber defensive player and maybe come along offensively. The defense has come along. The offense has flatlined. Career stats of 5.5 points per game. Less than 37% shooting from the floor is not going to cut it. That's, again, why he's still a free agent. And for his career, only averaging around 33% from deep. For a guard in today's NBA, when floor spacing comes at a premium, you have to be able to knock down shots. Frank Ntilikina has not been able to do that. His numbers last year, he got DNP'd a lot by Coach Tom Thibodeau in New York with the Knicks. He basically was out of the rotation. His minutes were scarce. Less than 10 minutes per game. That isn't good for a guy who's still in his early 20s and a former top 10 pick. Averaged less than 3 points per game. His field goal percentage, sub 37%. And don't get blown away by the three-point attempts there and the three-point efficiency. There were no attempts, basically, from Frank Ntilikina from deep last year, so I'm not putting any stock in that 48% number. Mavs fans, I know you're very passionate about this organization. You want to see the Mavericks punch their ticket to the second round for the first time since Dirk Nowitzki was balling out during that NBA championship run back in 2011. This city deserves it, the organization deserves it, and you got to make Luka Doncic happy. So do you want Frankie Smokes to be a part of this rotation? Do you want him to sign him? Type S for sign. If you'd like the Mavericks to pass on him, type your P for pass. Be sure to get those votes in the comment section down below. Today's show is presented to you by our sportsbook partner, BetUS. This deal from our sportsbook partner is the best deal from any sportsbook in any pocket of the world. If you go to chatsports.com/MFFL, that is our custom link for Mavs fans for life, you get a 125% deposit bonus when you enter the promo code MFFL. What that means is when you put $100 in your account, you get an additional $125 back. That's $225 to wager with. Maybe you like the Cowboys going to Inglewood on Sunday against Justin Herbert and the Chargers as 3-point underdogs. The over-under set at 55. That's one of the largest over-unders across the National Football League in Week 2. I was impressed with how Dallas played on the road against the defending Super Bowl champions, able to force 4 Tampa Bay Bucs turnovers. That 3-point line, it's certainly tricky. It's a little bit fishy. The over-under is certainly high, but lay the lettuce down and take your Dallas Cowboys. Go to chatsports.com/MFFL and enter that promo code. Then you'll get that 125% deposit bonus. More on Frank Ntilikina. The Mavs have actually been interested in him for a long time. This predates right now, goes all the way back to the 2017 pre-draft process when Dallas had shown a lot of interest in Ntilikina. Mark Cuban had actually visited him in Italy during the time prior to the draft, and Frank actually trains in the Dallas area in Frisco. There are a bunch of NFL and NBA players who train all throughout the Dallas Metroplex. Frank Ntilikina has been one of them, has some history with some players on this roster, Reggie Bullock, who the Mavericks signed, as well as Kristaps Porzingis, and maybe there is some upside here. I talk about that low risk, high reward. Frank Ntilikina, only 23 years old. I don't have a lot of hope that his offensive game is going to progress all that much, but hey, I'm looking at the glass half full type of approach. Here's a picture of Cuban and Ntilikina prior to the 2017 NBA draft when Cuban had gone overseas. So he is familiar with Ntilikina as a player and as a prospect. More reporting, this time coming from Real GM. On top of what Mark Cuban had said, the Mavericks were strongly linked to Ntilikina ahead of the 2017 draft, but he instead went to the New York Knicks at number 8. Then the Mavericks selected Dennis Smith Jr. at number 9, and he was subsequently traded to the Knicks in 2019. That goes down in the history books as a bad draft, not only for the New York Knicks, also for your Dallas Mavericks. So maybe Ntilikina, after not getting drafted by Dallas, is going to end up going to Dallas in free agency. As Mark Stein has said, this has been in the works and could happen and come to fruition over the next couple of days. You go back and watch some of Frankie Smoke's defensive highlights. Over time, he's defended Luka Doncic pretty well, which is not an easy task, and I give him a lot of credit for that because, as we know, Luka is an offensive superstar for his ability to put the ball on the deck, score from all 3 levels. He'll hit you with the fadeaway, hit you with that classic patented step-back three-pointer as well, and can really use his size and kind of the girth to his body. All you dirty minds out there, don't laugh at girth because Luka is a girthy cat with his body, not something else. But Ntilikina has shown up well defensively against Luka, and I take stock in that. Again, Ntilikina, an elite defensive player. In the Olympics for France, for the Tokyo Games, he was really just okay. Again, what it comes down to is his offensive development. If he links up with Luka and he links up with Jason Kidd, can his offensive game come along a little bit further? Or is that offensive game just lost right now? And is there no hopes for Frankie Smokes to kind of progress and get a little bit better over time? That's something to monitor if this signing does go down. Mavs potential starters. Do not think that Ntilikina is going to be in the starting lineup or crack this rotation. I think he'd be coming in off the back end of the bench. Depending on the matchups on any given night, he's going to get more minutes some nights depending on the defensive matchups compared to other nights. But I'm thinking this is going to be the Mavs' potential starting lineup. You got Luka, you got Bullock, you got Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith. Do you play Maxi Kleber here and there? Do you spot start Jalen Brunson? I think Jason Kidd does have some lineup versatility at his disposal. Before we dip on out of here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, of course. But first, get those votes in. Grade Frankie Smokes as a player for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Head down to the comment section and let me know.